I am joined today by a man named Wayne. Hello, Wayne.
Hi there, Andy. How you doing?
I'm not too bad. Now, we spoke a while back at Adventure Plus, where we came to do some radio, and you were working there. And we had a chat about bits and pieces, but we wanted to come back properly to do an interview because you've got quite an interesting testimony, which we want to get into. But just
Yeah.
before we do all of that stuff, you're at Adventure Plus now. Just give us a quick overview. What's Adventure Plus all about?
So, Adventure Plus is a Christian outdoor activities company that provides activities to schools and youth groups and Duke of Edinburgh and all number of different children's sort of groups. And we help them have fun in the great outdoors with a Christian ethos of being kind, caring, and loving and showing them God's creation.
So that's your day job now. We'll come back to that right at the end, but let's go straight back in time a little bit for you. You're working for a Christian organization ministry now. Where did
Yeah.
your Christian journey really begin?
So it's been, I will be honest with you, it's been on and off since I was very, very young. My parents tried many of different churches when I was growing up. Um, I think we went to that I can remember. Remember, as you get older, you lose your mind a bit. But the Methodist Church, we went to a Baptist church. We went to a Mormon church. And then eventually we ended up at a Church in the England church in St Austell in Cornwall because that's where I grew up. And I gave my life to Christ at I suppose you would call it like a mission trip that they came down. There was a walk called the Walk of a Thousand Men. I think it was 80s or 90s. I was about 13 and I gave my life to Christ, should we say, for the first time on that. Sorry, somebody trying to get hold of me and I've got to stop it. But yeah, ever in demand. But yeah, the first time I say I committed my life to Christ was uh, one of these Billy Graham, well, no, not Billy Graham, Walk with a Thousand Men missions.
That's when you first not encountered Christ, but obviously that was when your first decision to follow him and make him
Mm.
not just something that you looked at. And it sounds like your parents were, well, they were clearly seeking something, right? Because they're trying these different denominations and different organizations. So they were seeking something, but it took you a little bit longer before you found that. Was it a Walk
Yeah,
of the Thousand Men? Was that what it was called?
yeah, I think it was Walk with a Thousand Men, and basically, a thousand men came down to Cornwall. They walked all over Cornwall, and they put up a great big marquee in our local park. And we went, and yeah, I would say more that my mother was looking for faith and different acceptance and love. My dad was totally different. My dad was he was an atheist. He was the man that if you were doing like let's say now an alpha and you saw him turn up and you'd know him, you'd go, oh, here we go. I've got a rough night tonight. I've got to have loads of hard questions. But my mom was definitely seeking the right place in the end.
So that's early days, that's sort of mid-teens. You're now working for Adventure Plus. There's a big gap in there which we need to kind of to get through. Um,
Mm.
but where did you go? I mean, you've met Jesus. You've decided I'm going to follow him. He's really important to me. I'm going to exercise my faith. So where did you go from there?
So this was the age of 13, and I was involved in a youth group, Cypher, which was Church of England Youth Group, and I was doing great, helping with the youth group, helping lead some of the youth group, and I met a young lady who got quite serious, um, and she was coming away to Oxford University, and I wasn't one for doing long distance relationships, so I would say that's first time that I really left the church and left God. And we moved to Oxford and we moved in together. And I didn't reconnect with God for a while at that point. So fast forward now, I'm up in Oxford living, and I'm living, should we say, the high life. Not going to church at all, and just, I would say, I wasn't a student. I was working. I don't know. Do you remember HMV?
Remember HMV?
Yeah, yeah. I was working at HMV as a store detective, and that was pretty much life as I knew it. But God had other plans, and the other plans, uh, they changed me for the better. Didn't like going through them at the time.
Sounds familiar, I think,
So
to many people.
exactly. But yeah, so she unfortunately left me for my best friend at the time, and I then moved to London and um, started working at a HMV in London, and again living the high life, not really following church, not paying any attention to like my faith or anything at all. And again, I was doing the same job, which was being a store detective. And yeah, that was it. That was around about 2000, and I was there for about a year. No, 2001, sorry, because I was there for about a year before um, I broke both of my feet in an accident, being very silly and stupid. Um, I don't know if many of your members will remember 2002 England versus Argentina World Cup. We beat them, and I went out celebrating, and yeah, fell off a line at Trafalgar Square and broke both my feet, and then subsequently landing it up in St Thomas's Hospital for it was about 8 weeks.
Wow, that's not fun.
No, it wasn't. But it was, again, it was God's plans. It was it. I say it wasn't. He didn't plan it as such. Well, no, I can't say that because he did allow it to happen. Shall we say? Okay. Um, but God makes the best out of it. So, um, I went into hospital. I couldn't go home because I lived on a ground basement level flat, and obviously having two broken legs, I couldn't get in. So I stayed in hospital for 8 weeks, and I met a nurse who um, was the sister of the ward. And growing up, my family had always had interactions with a charity called Dr. Bernardo's, and we used to have children come down and have holidays. So they would send children down to get away from the inner city and have holidays with us. And we had um, three young lads, Anthony, Desmond, and Dwight, which were a Jamaican family. I think they were from somewhere in sort of Shepherd's Bush area of London. And I'd always had a fascination because growing up in Cornwall, there wasn't many ethnicities. I'd always had a fascination with different ethnicities and stuff like that. And this nurse was from Trinidad and Tobago, which is part of the Caribbean. We started to connect really well. And cut a long story short, we fell in love, got married, and had three kids. So God made a deemed to be a terrible circumstances work out for the better. So I now had a daughter and twins, a son and a daughter, who currently are 21 and 18.
So I think this is something that many people would probably identify with, is that we go through life, and I've referenced this several times, but sometimes the really, really hard stuff, breaking your legs, breaking the bones, losing fingers, I've referenced that story before with a friend of mine. Those, whilst they are terrible in every single possible sense, yes, they absolutely are. It is always beautiful to see how God can take something that's tragic, a tragedy, like breaking your feet, losing a finger, but actually can redeem it. And that's why we call God a redeemer, because he takes the really horrible, hard stuff and actually somehow turns it into something quite beautiful. And for you, it's that you then went on to meet the lady that became your wife.
Yeah, and all throughout my life, Andy, if I think about it, There's been circumstances like that where something bad has happened that I deemed to be bad at the time, but then God has prevailed that, this is actually what I wanted for it. If you look at the age of, sorry, 18, 18, 19, all I wanted to do was go in the British Army. I paid no attention at school. To be truthfully honest, I hated school with a passion. I was bullied and I was dyslexic, but back in those days, dyslexia wasn't really talked about very much. It was just that you were put in a fit class. So all I did is I went to cadets and I learned how to polish boots, iron trousers, shoot guns, and all I wanted to do was join the British Army. But upon the medical for the army, they discovered I had a tumor in my neck, which meant that I had to go and have a test done, and they discovered I had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma the first time, so I had to have it a slight bit removed, and then I'd have radiotherapy, and then I couldn't go in the British Army. Which, when I look back on it now, was obviously the right decision, because I genuinely believe if I had gone in the army, I probably wouldn't be where I am now. But at the time, it was excruciatingly painful, because I grew up with two really good friends that were the three of us were going to go in the army together. We were going to go in the light infantry. We were going to be the be all and the end all. It was like we were going to be the boys, and obviously that didn't happen. And then that's when I met this girl, and moved away and stuff. But yeah, like I say, if it hadn't happened that way, I would have probably gone in the army, and I wouldn't have been where I am now. But anyway, come back into where I was. So I've now met my ex-wife. She's an ex-wife, by the way. Sorry. Spoiler alert. But we've got three young children. We moved to Milton Keynes, and we're living in Milton Keynes, and we've gone to her home country, Trinidad, many a times on holiday, seeing the family. And I've got to admit, I fell in love with it. I loved Trinidad and Tobago, the food, the culture, the people, everything. So we decided to pick up and move out there. So we moved out there. It was, I think it was June the 2nd of 2005. Yeah. And then I was there until August the 27th of the 2006. And within that time, unfortunately, our marriage dissolved. We didn't connect. Things went wrong. Stuff happened, and I unfortunately dissolved. Don't hold any of it against her. And she's a Christian, and I'm a Christian, and we've forgiven each other for that. And like I say, the best thing that come out of it is I've got three amazingly beautiful children that are beautiful, smart, intelligent, and funny. But I came home because I was going to try and live there and stay there. But I came home on August the 27th, 2006, because I got cancer again. But this time it was a lot more severe. In Trinidad, they didn't think they could do much for me. So I assumed that I was coming home to basically get ready to die in a sense. But God had other plans. So I come home and I went under the care of a professor by the name of Professor Bunch at the Churchill, which is our local cancer specialist hospital. Really nice guy. And so I went into hospital on August the 26th. Within, 6 months, he had me disease free. And then I went back the following March in 2007 for a stem cell transplant. And then I was right as rain pretty much ever since. I got involved with the church at that point, here in the local area, seeking to have a part of my heart fulfilled, which, um, not knowing to me at the time, wasn't actually fulfilled. So I was trying to uh, fill that void that everyone speaks about, and um, didn't feel like I had it filled, and went and made some very big mistakes, um, following paths of um, drinking, uh, not so much smoking or doing drugs, but drinking and, um, should we say, uh, the opposite sex. Um, you know, and then I got into the gym and started to rebuild my body after all the cancer, and yeah, things didn't go according to, should we say, a Christian way of living. Um, and then so that was 27 to 210. Um, sorry, 211. 211, I met my now wife
Mhm.
at the gym, and we um, we started making connections and becoming friends, and she became my best friend. And I was telling her everything. And again, bearing in mind, I'm still living the high life, being very stupid, very immature the way I look at it now. Um, and then one day, it just dawned on me, this person is actually someone that I can tell everything to. She's like my best friend. She's very attractive. She's someone I think I want to spend the rest of my life with. So I told her, and she sort of went, nah, because obviously she knew everything and knew who the way I was. Um, but to cut a very long story short, we eventually got together. We got married on December the, better get this right, December the 13th of 2014. And we've been all together since. Hasn't been easy, because I still had this rebellious child inside that still was looking for love and appreciation from anyone and everything that would show me some form of interest. And um, being and working in various different fields, um, it come to a conclusion, should we say, in what was it, September of 2019, um, working in um, a gym at this point. I'd met another young lady, and unfortunately, I had an affair. And to this day, it's one of the biggest regrets of my life, because it meant that I was hurting the person that loved me the most. That, apart from Christ, in a sense, it's just the person that loved me. And um, we went and got counselling, and went to a lovely couple, Christian married couple that are slightly older than us, shall we say, that have wise and mature ways. And I'll never forget going there the first time. Um, and I'd never had anyone put me in my place. I'd never, because my dad unfortunately passed away when I was 20. So obviously, like I said to you earlier, I I discovered I had cancer in 1996. The first time couldn't get in the British Army. I had that from the June through to the October, got the all clear. And then 2 weeks later, my dad got diagnosed with bowel cancer. And 4 months later, he died. Um, that was a very rough time in my life, because about a month after that, one of my greatest friends that I've grown up with since the age of 5, with who I was going to go in the army with, come home on leave, and unfortunately got in an altercation at a pub. And I mean, I wasn't there, so I cannot say exactly what happened. But cut a long story short, he lost his life. Um, so a lot has always gone wrong in my life. So there'd never been anyone there really to give me direction, to tell me what was right, tell me what was wrong. And we went to this couple for advice. I'll never forget it. He's loving the bits now. I think he's amazing. But the first time I said something that he didn't agree with, he went, "No, no, 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 no. Wait, stop. Listen." And I'm sat there then going, "Who's this guy? Who the heck is he to tell me what?" And from then I built up a lot of respect and trust and faith for him in a sense. So I really do appreciate who he is. And we then sat and spoke about all the connections that I've had throughout the rest of my life, with obviously the female sort of problem that I had. And myself, my best friend, and him, we prayed over it all,
Hmm.
and we asked the Lord to clear my mind and my sort of soul in a sense of all these connections. And then I gave my life to recommitted my life to Christ. And from then on, life just changed dramatically. So I confessed to my wife everything that had been going on. And it was really bizarre because it was almost like a Holy Spirit moment, almost like the Holy Spirit took over. Because as fast as these words were coming out my mouth, inside of me, I'm screaming to myself, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" But she sat down in front of me. I never get it. It was the first time I really felt true love and forgiveness. Um, which she just sat there and she said, "Wayne, I love the sinner, not the sin." And I was like, wow. And then ever since then, we've been, right as rain. We've been deeply in love and we've connected and we've been through a lot together since then. Um, but it was about a month after that, I got diagnosed with cancer again. And this is now going into 2020. So January 2020, I got diagnosed with cancer and I had to go through chemotherapy and radiotherapy again, from pretty much the February stroke March onwards, um, which was, if we all remember, was middle of COVID. I had this hacking cough and issues, and of course we didn't discover what it was until later down the line. But apparently, during the COVID, um, during the chemotherapy, I had um, COVID, and I had not even realised. But the Lord saved me throughout all of it because I didn't actually have any symptoms, um, because He had a better thing planned for me.
Hmm.
So I got the all clear in September, um, and we were in our house in 2020. We had 2 weeks, which was cancer free, because 2 weeks later, my wife got diagnosed with ovarian cancer. Yeah, you could make it up if you wanted to. And then she had a major operation. She had abdominal surgery. And then she was in treatment up until the following February. And by the following February, she was right as rain. And when we were able to go to church, we were going to St. Aldate's in Oxford and starting to really, really connect and enjoy going to church and everything. And it must have been we have a service called Alive, and there was a guy there. He's the and I think it was this official title. I think it's associate minister or vicar of the church, called Mark. And I went and had a chat with him because whenever I'd been connected with a church or I've met people with a churchy background, they said to me, "We think you have the gifting of evangelism." Um, and half the time I was like, "Evangel what? Sorry, no idea." Anyhow, Nicole said to me, which Nicole's my wife, she said, "What are you going to do about it?" I said, "I'll go and ask him what I need to do to follow my calling." And he pointed me in the direction of a lovely guy by the name of Greg Downs. I don't know if you've ever met him. He's an evangelist, really lovely guy. And I went over and sat and had a chat with him. And the conversation went something along the lines of this. "Hi, you don't know me. My name's Wayne. I come to church. I've been in and out of churches most of my life, and whenever I've been at various different points, people have spoken over the giftings of evangelism to me. Now, this is in various different parts of the country and the world, and nobody knows each other. I don't know what to do. I hate school. I hate studying. I think I'm dyslexic, yet I've never been tested. What should I do?" And he genuinely just looked at me and went, "Come to university." So I said, "Oh, okay. Which one?" And he said, "Oxford." I was like, "What? Come to Oxford University?" I mean, I know the music's a little bit loud, but I'm sure he's heard every word I've said. So anyway, I went back to the wife and told her what he said, and she said, "What are you going to do?" I said, "Well, I said I'd be faithful and do what was suggested, but I can't see this going ahead. This is a jokes. Oxford University isn't going to want a middle class commoner from Cornwall who can't speak proper, who's got no qualifications." So anyhow, first thing we had to do was apply for funding. So we applied for funding, and at the time I'm working, my wife's working. My perception is it's a bit like the old means tested benefits. Yeah, that if you're on so much money, there's no way you're going to get a student grant or anything like that. And it come through that I was a mature student and I could have the funding. So I was like, "Oh, okay, that wasn't what I was expecting." So I thought, right, okay, I need to apply. So I was given the details of the administration lady. It was Wycliffe Hall in Oxford, and um, I emailed in, and I got a phone call to say, um, "I just wanted to check something with you. Your surname." I was like, "Yeah, um, it's quite a unique surname." So I said, "Yeah." So when I got married a second time, my wife and we double barreled our surname. So her surname is Cases, but it's spelled Kuisis. Yeah, so it's very unique. And she said, "Your wife, does she teach exercise classes?" So I'm like, "Yes, at the local leisure centre in Abingdon." And I'm like, "Yes." "Well, oh, we know your wife. We come to her exercise classes. Why don't you come round and have a cup of tea and we can fill out the forms together?" So now I'm sat there going, hmm, somebody's having a joke with me. Lord, I know that they say you got a sense of humour, but this isn't funny now. I'm actually starting to worry that I may have to go and study. Um, so anyhow, I thought to myself, that's all right. I've still got the interview. I've got the interview where I've got to meet these professors. They're not going to like me. I'm fine. It's great. I'm I'm sorted. So anyhow, went to the interview. Um, there was this was all online because of obviously COVID at the time. Um, there was a lovely lady called Erin and a gentleman by the name of Justin Terry, really nice guy. Um, and we just started chatting away. And this is all like you can really see God's timing in everything. So it was only 2 weeks before that my best mate had given me a book, C.S. Lewis's Mere Christianity,
Yep.
and I started reading it, and I was starting to get a bit of an understanding and a bit of grip with it, and I was actually starting to go, "Oh, I really like this," and went into the interview, and I was chatting away for a while, as you can tell, I can talk quite happily, and so he said to me, "Have you read any theological Christian books lately?" And I just started chatting away about mere Christianity. And he said to me about 20 minutes later, he went, "Well, I'm going to have to call the interview to a close now, unfortunately, because I've got another interview." So it's like, okay, so come off. And I said to the wife, "I don't think that went well." He said he pretty much had to kick me off the call in the end. I said, because I was talking too much. So, oh, well. And then the next thing you know, we had a letter come through to say, you've been accepted to um, Wycliffe Hall of Oxford University to study theology, and you could have knocked me down with a feather. So I was like, okay. So I started in the would have been the October of 21. I started going, no, sorry, October of 20, online, did the first year online, and then did the second year in place from the October of 21 onwards. All the time going to church, getting involved in various different groups, various different services, teams. And then I started on a team meeting and greeting people at the door. And everything was running smoothly and tickety boo. And never really thought anything more of where life would take me and what to do. So I've been working at a gym years ago, and I've become an instructor teaching exercise classes. I was in the cadets teaching and doing lots of different cadet instructing stuff and various different jobs throughout my life that have given me lots of different life skills. Um, and I was very good with people because I've been an estate agent. So working on the door, meeting people and greeting them into church wasn't too much of an issue. Um, and this young lad turned up. I'll never forget it. He's one of my good friends now. But he turned up, and like I said to you earlier, I'm from Cornwall. This man is wearing a Plymouth Argyle football shirt. And for those of you that don't know or don't understand, Plymouth Argyle is the Devon football team. And I'm from Cornwall, and obviously there's a big rivalry between Cornwall and Devon, and jam and cream, and all that sort of thing. And I noticed this shirt, but I noticed it had written across the front, sponsored by Ginsters, and it has a bit of a Cornish emblem on it. So I started laughing and joking and like saying, bit confused, not sure what you want to do. You want to be Cornish or you want to be Devon and everything else. I said, where are you from? And he said, oh, we've come from Adventure Plus. We're interns, him and his mate there. I was like, you come from where? He said, Adventure Plus. I said, what's Adventure Plus? So he started sort of explaining it to me. So it's a Christian outdoor activities company. We do lots of different outdoor sports. We instruct kids on how to do these sports and we help them have fun. And so through the back of my mind now is going instructing outdoor activities, sports. A love and passion for God. This is just too good to be true. And we come home and Nicole, my wife, says to me, what are you going to do? I said, I might email him, see if I can go down and do some volunteering and go from there. So Sunday evening, sat there. I emailed in, not expecting to hear anything, Andy, because you run a company yourself. You get many different emails. Something like that would probably be like a Tuesday or a Wednesday, maybe response, maybe not be a first thing on a Monday morning response. But I didn't get a response on Monday morning. I didn't get a response on Tuesday or Wednesday. I got a response literally 20 minutes later on the Sunday evening by the lady that deals with all of the DBS checks and volunteer forms and everything like that. So I was like, wow, okay. So anyhow, I sent all the stuff in, and we went down and met, and have met John Cox, we went and met John, and for anyone who hasn't met John, he is an incredibly inspiring gentleman. Um, and I come away saying to my wife, I feel like as soon as my feet touched Adventure Plus soil, it was like God had said to me, "This is where I want you. Everything you've been through is for this moment. This is what you're gonna, all of what you've been through, all this stuff, the jobs, the pains and the joys are going to give you what I need for you being here." So I helped with climbing club, I helped with canoe club, and all along everyone's talking about these gap year programs, and I'm thinking, oh, well, that gap year programs are for like, you know, 17, 18 year olds. And they said, oh, no, no, you can be any age, come and do the gap year. So I spoke to my wife and I spoke to my mother-in-law, who is a very kind and caring lady, who is a very strong, devout Christian lady, who had been there and guiding me and helping me throughout everything. And we agreed that I would go and she would help me be able to go. So I then did 2-year internship on an intern called AIM. Now, AIM, for anyone who doesn't know, stands for Adventure Impact, but it basically is SEND, special educational needs and disabilities, and we help more on a one-to-one basis. So we help kids that have things like ADHD, autism, anxiety, or even physical disabilities like being blind or deaf and stuff like that. And we help them do activities that they may feel that they can't do on their own or can't do in a group. And we help them, have fun in the outdoor world. So I did a 2-year internship there so I started my first year when the other two that I met on church was on their second year. We spent many times together and had some lots of laughs and fun. They become like my best friends, and I then got a job last September, and I started full time, where I've now been working on the AIM department ever since.
So, I mean, it's a journey of, for me, there's a lot of difficulties in there. That you've got cancer thrown in, you've got losing friends, trying to connect with God. That's what your family was trying to do through your mum.
Yeah.
You connect to God, you kind of go away a little bit, but as you weave through all of that, which is the bit that I love to look back and reflect on, is you've got so many moments of God trying to draw you near. You come near, you walk away, he calls you back again. And now you're able to use some of all the skills really that are there, that love of the outdoors, people, all that. But the bit that really struck me from what you were saying a while back was you were chatting to somebody who actually called you out basically and said, no, that's not okay. Because I'm struck by a scripture that says, old women and old women, old women and old men, badly paraphrased, basically help people who are younger, not if they fancy it, not if they want you to help them. No, teach them the way to be. And it's the instruction from the older folk, basically. I'm not saying older, but people who are older to actually reach down to people who are younger and instruct them and help them through life. Because life is really hard. There's so much in there to confuse us, to pull us away from God. And it's, this is me as an encouragement, really saying if you are older than somebody else in the faith, that doesn't mean to say you're 50 and they're 30. It could be the other way around. But if you've been walking with Jesus longer, then it's a good reason to try and speak to other people and to actually reach into their lives and help them and instruct them. That's what the Bible tells us to do, which is what that guy did. It took you going through a whole bunch of stuff before you actually probably were able to hear that, but actually you were ready to hear that. And it's so important. So you're now working at A+ and you're loving it.
Yeah. And that's what I loved about him, was he really didn't allow me to be the idiot that I'd been being. He literally did call me out and he guided me through it. And then, like I'm now A+. And there's a song that it means so much to me now, because every single word rings out, and you've probably heard it. It's the goodness of God. And it says, I love you, Lord. Oh, your mercy never fails me. All of my days I've been held in your hands. And no matter what I've been through, I've never been left to die. So I've been through cancer 3 times. I've never been left to die. The point where my mate got taken, this was on the Sunday evening. So it was on the Sunday evening. I saw my mate in the town on the Saturday, and he said to me, "You coming out to the pub tomorrow night? I'm home on leave. Do you want to come?" So I said, "I can't. I've got youth group. So unfortunately, I won't be able to come. But I'll see you on Monday." And you know, I look back on that, and at first I was like, I should have been there. But then knowing the type of person I was, knowing who I was, if I was there, it could have been me. And I genuinely believe that that was God intervening and saying, no, I don't want you to go there because I have bigger and better things planned for you. So holding me in his hands, and from the moment I woke up, even when I was 13 years old and my eyes were open to who Jesus was, he's never let go of me. That's why that song means so much to me. And now being at Adventure Plus and being able to help so many children, myself and my wife have been there on the camps and shared some of our testimony and our stories, and we've been able to help people realize that actually, as Christians, we're called to forgive, we're called to love, we're called to follow, and we're called to obey, in a sense, what God's calling for our lives. And if you do that, he'll be with you.
He really
You
will.
know what I mean?
He really will. If people want to find out more about Adventure Plus, perhaps they want to come on one of the holidays. I know very recently you've just been to Switzerland, as well, some of the team have. And there's all these different activities throughout the year that people can engage with. How do people get hold of Adventure Plus if they want to come and make use of the amazing facility that it is?
So we're online, lovely website called adventureplus.org. You can come on there. You have my details. You could quite easily forward those on if they wanted to contact 24/7 Pure Radio, and I'll arrange for people to come down and have a look around. What I would say is children can come to Total Adventure Camps in Easter. Then there's 3 now. There used to be 2. There's 3 in the summer. So we have a 8 to 12 for the end of July, beginning of August, and then a 12 to 17 camp slightly thereafter. Then we have a new special educational needs camp, which I am super excited about. I cannot wait for that because it is something that is obviously very dear to my heart. And then in October, we have a camp which you might be interested in, where we do it's called Awe Adventures in Worship, where they actually get musicians who are, wanting to increase their music knowledge, playing ability, putting worship songs together and stuff. And that is amazing. So they do that. And then obviously, like you just said, we take a group out to Switzerland in February half term. So those are the camps and stuff we have. But yeah, if people want to get in contact via the website or via 24/7, happy to help.
Thank you, Carly. Adventureplus.org if you want to find out more. Wayne, thank you.
No worries. Thank you very much, Andy.